Hi, it's Michael. Let's talk about thought spirals. So there's two types of thought spirals. There's an upward spiral and a downward spiral. Let's start with upward. So upward is generally what happens when you have positive thoughts. Let's take, for example, you get some really good news during the day and it really cheers you up, and that mood will generate generally positive thinking. You might say to yourself, okay, I got some great news. I'm feeling like bringing home a gift for my partner or spouse. And you have these sort of real positive kind of ideas that are generated from that mood. Now on the flip side, the downward spiral is probably the most common or more common than the upward spiral. A downward spiral happens when, let's say for example, you get some bad news. And let's say maybe you get an email from your boss or an email from a customer that's negative. Your customer says, hey, I want to cancel my account. Or your boss says, you know what, I'm really going to just cancel that project that you were working on. And naturally that puts you in a bad mood, and that's totally normal. But notice what can happen is that mood will actually generate some negative thinking. Let's say you might say to yourself, you know what, I really don't like that customer, or I really don't like my boss. And that will even put you in a worse mood. And that more negative mood will generate even more negative thinking. And you might say, well, you know what, I never really liked this job anyway. I'm going to kind of dial back on my customers maybe. So you start having negative thinking, and that might put you in an even worse mood. And that worse mood generates even more negative thinking. So you get the idea. It's a downward spiral. And typically what happens is that the thoughts that pop into your head are automatic. You don't even really have a lot of consciousness about them occurring. They kind of almost happen on their own. So I'd like to get you much more aware of these automatic thoughts, especially in the downward spiral. So I have an exercise for you to do, and here's how it goes. You have basically a sheet of paper, and on that sheet of paper is divided into two columns. Now, you can use a template that I'm about to give you soon, or you can just simply write it on a sheet of paper. And it goes like this. At the top, you write down a negative thought. So this sheet is really good for negative worries and thoughts. Write down sort of your worry, and then on the left-hand side, without any judgment, just quickly write down negative thoughts that simply pop into your head. And again, don't judge yourself. This is common. If you're human, you're going to have this phenomenon happen. It is just the way it works. So write them down. It might be 3, it might be 10. I don't know what it is, but simply write them down. Notice the negativity. Realize that these thoughts were generated from a negative state, a negative mood. It's not necessarily your fault that they occurred, but just simply look at them without judgment, noticing that they're all pretty much negative, and then just kind of take that in and forgive yourself for that negativity. It's pretty normal. Now what you can do, and what's really powerful, is on the right-hand side of the piece of paper, you can write down counter arguments or counterpoints for each negative point. So what you can do is kind of use your logical mind and calmly breathe a little bit, write down, say for example, what your best friend might say to you if you're sort of venting or complaining to them. They'd want to cheer you up, right? So think about maybe what that friend would say to counteract your negative thinking. And try to write as many positive counteractions to the negativity as possible. It's going to be kind of hard at first. This is not an easy exercise. And what I'd like you to do is try this whenever you're challenged by a negative event and you kind of get stuck in negativity. You can't get out of a mood. This is a really good way to get your thoughts out of your head, where they're kind of jumbling around, and put them down on paper and really get a little more clarity about the types of thoughts that are just automatically generated by your mood. And again, don't judge yourself. Know that this is just simply what happens with humans and human brains, okay? So if you want a copy of this template, you can click here on the video, or if you're on my website, there's some sort of button around here somewhere that says, get my thought spiral worksheet. So you can get that. It's a nice thing to print out. It's really easy to fill out, and you can carry copies with you. and just even have it on your phone, and just use it when you start feeling negative and you can't really get out of that mood. This is something that can help you. So thanks for watching. Really hope that helps. Thinking about thought spirals, automatic thoughts that are just simply generated. The more you can become aware of your own thinking, not necessarily believe everything that you think. Know that humans generally think this way with a lot of automatic thoughts, either positive or negative. Thanks for watching.